Hello, Luke Jones here with Luke Jones Real Estate Experts, and here is a more in-depth explanation as to how to calculate the return on investment of your residential income property, the ROI. Now, there are many ways to calculate the return or the yield or the return on your equity or the cash on cash or the cap rate or the GRM, but I'm going to talk to you very briefly now about the two methods that are most commonly used to really give you a sense as to the building's evaluation as it stacks up against other investments. Okay, so the two ways that people tend to look at a building's return is through the gross rent multiplier, the GRM, or the cap rate or the capitalization rate. Now, the two calculations are quite different, but they're pretty simple. But let me just give you the quick explanation for GRM. So the GRM is if you add up all of the rents in your building, all of the gross operating income for your building, and that gives you a number, right? So let's say it's 200,000. 200,000 is what you're getting gross per year from all of the rents and all of the other income that you earn. Let's say you bought the building for $2 million. Real simple. So the math is very simple. So you take $2 million, you divide it by the 200,000, that gives you 10, right? So that would be a 10 GRM. Now, in Los Angeles, because property prices are very expensive, you are very unlikely to find an investment that has a 10 GRM. More normal here in LA is going to be somewhere in the high teens, maybe even the 20s. So, but you know, if you found something that was a 14 or a 15, that's a really good investment. So the key with GRM is the lower the number, the better. So remember, the lower the number, the better. Okay, so then let's go on to the more complicated, more kind of thorough, more comprehensive way of establishing the yield and the return on your investment with residential income property. It's called the cap rate. Now, the cap rate is a little more involved. What you want to do is you take your gross rents, so that $200,000, but then you minus the expenses. So the expenses would include all of the costs to maintain the building, all of the, for example, also some of the insurance costs. Also, you're going to factor in some reserves that you need to set aside for the rainy day stuff that comes along. You're also going to need to factor in some delinquencies on rent. You're also going to need to factor in the vacancy. And so you take all of those expenses off your gross and you have your net, right? So your 200,000, let's take that again. Let's say the average tends to be around 30%. So let's say you have an average expenses of $60,000 a year on your 200,000 gross rents. That's going to be 140, right? So that's your 140,000 then becomes your net operating income. So now here's where the math comes in. So again, let's say you bought the building for $2 million. Now my maths isn't this good, so I would need a calculator to do this right off the top of my head, but you would take that 140,000, you would divide it into the 2 million, and that will give you a percentage, which is the number that you want to be looking at for the cap rate. Now, the cap rate is contrary to the GRM, where you want the lower number to be better. With the cap rate, the higher number is the better. So, for example, if you could find a building that had a cap rate of 7-8%, that would be phenomenal. Here in LA, again, because things are expensive, very unlikely. Cap rates here in Los Angeles tend to be, gosh, right now around 4%, so maybe even lower, maybe even 3%. So what you want to do is measure the cap rate and the GRM to give you a kind of broad sense as to what the value is of the building. And then the idea obviously is if you can pay for the building, if you can pay less for the building than what the prevailing cap rates are or the prevailing GRM is, you know you're getting a good deal. It's complicated. So the best thing that I can tell you right now is that you should just call me if you want to analyze the investment return on a building that you've looked at. Give me a call. We can go through it together, and I would love to speak with you. 310-435-4774 is my cell. That's 310-435-4774. And of course, you can find us at lukejonesre.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.